Good evening. What follows is a fact-checked analysis of the Fox News segment aired on Fox and Friends First, covering the ongoing U.S.-Iran conflict now entering its fifth week. The core claims in this segment are verified. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched coordinated strikes across Iran under Operation Epic Fury, targeting leadership, military installations, missile production sites, and the remnants of Iran's nuclear program. The opening phase focused on degrading senior Iranian leadership, while dismantling missile infrastructure, launch systems, and air defenses.
First, we turn it over to Trey Inks in Israel with the latest on the Iran war. Trey.
Todd Carley, good morning. Operation Epic Fury has now entered week 5, and the United States continues to hammer the Iranian regime. Overnight, President Trump took to Truth Social to say, quote, "Big day in Iran. Many long sought-after targets have been taken out and destroyed by our great military, the finest and most lethal in the world. God bless you all." The president's comments come after a series of U.S. and Israeli strikes over the weekend that targeted Iran's steel manufacturing sites and nuclear development facilities. Reports indicate the president is considering a limited ground operation inside of Iran, following the arrival of the USS Tripoli, manned with 3,500 troops, including 2,500 Marines, to the CENTCOM area of operation. The president was asked about the status of military plans yesterday, saying this.
We've had very good negotiations today with Iran, getting a lot of the things that they should have given us a long time ago. We'll see how it works out, but they're very good. Moving along very nicely.
Are you considering still putting boots on the ground, and would you do that without going to Congress?
I just have lots of alternatives. We have tremendous numbers of ships over there. We don't need them all because of, the power. We're ahead of schedule with Iran.
As the war grinds on, Iran is continuing its ballistic missile attacks against Israel, focusing attacks on southern Israel in recent days. A chemical plant outside the city of Beersheba was hit with a missile fragment yesterday, causing toxic black smoke to spew from the facility. The area around the plant was evacuated. With these strikes ongoing, a spokesperson for Iran's IRGC talked over the weekend about the war and President Trump.
Trump threatens an issue one morning and retreats that same evening. He talks about negotiations for a while and decides to continue the war hours later.
What the Iranians don't understand is that President Trump wants them to be confused about the military plans for the United States. We also have another development to report this hour. The Iran-backed Lebanese militant group Hezbollah launched rockets over the border a few minutes ago. A fragment from one of those rockets hit the oil refinery in the northern Israeli city of Haifa. Guys.
All right, Trey Inks live for us in Israel. Trey, thank you so much. Let's bring
The segment's discussion of the USS Tripoli is accurate. U.S. Central Command confirmed that approximately 3,500 additional sailors and Marines arrived in the Middle East aboard the USS Tripoli on March 27th, along with transport and strike fighter aircraft, as well as amphibious assault and tactical assets. The discussion about potential ground operations is also grounded in fact. The Pentagon is assembling plans for weeks of ground operations in Iran, though they would not rise to the level of a full-scale invasion, involving both conventional infantry and special operations elements. Discussions within the administration have touched upon the possible seizure of Karg Island, a key Iranian oil export hub, and raids into coastal areas near the Strait of Hormuz to find and destroy weapons targeting commercial and military shipping. The transcript references President Trump claiming Iran agreed to allow oil ships through the Strait of Hormuz. This needs significant context. Iran effectively closed the Strait of Hormuz in early March 2026, and as of March 2nd, a senior IRGC official confirmed the closure, threatening to attack any ships that attempted to cross. Trump claimed Iran allowed 10 oil tankers through as a present to the United States, though Tehran has denied direct talks are taking place. The reality is more complicated. Iran stated that non-hostile ships may transit the strait, provided they neither participate in nor support acts of aggression against Iran. Al Jazeera countries Iran considers friendly, including China, India, Russia, and others, have been negotiating individual passage deals, while the U.S. and its allies remain effectively shut out. The disruption has affected roughly 20% of the world's daily oil supply, with Brent crude surging past 126 per barrel at its peak, the largest energy supply disruption since the 1970s oil crisis. This segment focused heavily on military strategy and presidential messaging, but notably omitted casualty figures. 13 U.S. troops troops have been killed in action since the war began. 6 in a plane crash in Iraq, 6 in a drone attack in Kuwait, and 1 in an attack on Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia. Over 300 service members have been wounded, at least 10 seriously. President Trump stated in the transcript that the U.S. is having good negotiations with Iran. This is sharply disputed. Just before the strikes began, Omani Foreign Minister Badr al-Busaidi said a breakthrough had been reached with Iran, agreeing to never stockpile enriched uranium and to accept full IAEA verification. After the U.S. and Israel attack, al-Busaidi said active and serious negotiations had been undermined. Iran has publicly denied direct talks are occurring. The segment presented largely supportive commentary without acknowledging the domestic divide. A recent poll shows 62% of Americans oppose deploying ground troops to Iran, while only 12% support such a measure. A separate Data for Progress poll found 52% of Americans believe Trump was at least partly motivated to attack Iran to distract from other controversies, and his approval rating has fallen to roughly 40%, down from above 50% at the start of his term. This Fox News segment provided generally accurate tactical and military information. The analyst Mike Sarrelli's assessment that the U.S. would avoid a full-scale Iraq-style invasion in favor of limited, objective-driven raids aligns with what multiple independent defense analysts and government sources have reported. His warning about the dangers of urban combat and asymmetric warfare is historically well-founded. However, the segment carried significant omissions. It presented the war's progress almost exclusively through the lens of U.S. military dominance and presidential confidence, without meaningfully addressing the humanitarian toll on both sides, the global economic fallout from the Strait of Hormuz closure, the disputed nature of the negotiations narrative, the fact that a majority of Americans oppose ground troops, and the diplomatic opportunities that may have existed before strikes began. A responsible viewer should understand this is a real and expanding war with significant consequences that extend far beyond the battlefield. The question of ground operations is not hypothetical. It is being actively planned, and the outcome remains deeply uncertain.